Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Rene Caruso, health and wellness coach, author, and speaker. Rene will be sharing more about her founding journey and giving us a glimpse into plans for future growth. Rene, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Olivia. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you here, and it's such a pleasure to be speaking with you, so thank you so much again. And I'm very much excited to dive in and learn a little bit more about your journey. So, Rene, with all of my guests, I do actually like to start at the beginning. So if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what it was you was doing before you jumped into the wellness space, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
So the motivation, actually jumping in, was it started as a result of having multiple eating disorders that began when I was in 8th grade. So it got pretty bad up into my sophomore year of high school. And at the same time, I loved food. It was just this constant battle back and forth between starvation and loving food, family celebration. And during that time frame, I signed up to be a youth exchange student. And believe it or not, it was one of the catalysts that helped me start to move through my eating disorder. It by no means fixed it, but it helped me look outside myself with all the problems I was going through. And my parents were very supportive and of course got me professional help. That year abroad is one of the things that really changed my perspective on food and eating, because now I was in a country. I went to South Africa for a year. So this is back in 81. And I was starving myself, and yet I was for the first time visiting a country and seeing people who were starving because they didn't have access to food and water. And that helped switch something in my brain, and it helped me start to look at my disorder in a different way and start to move through it. It by no means fixed it. And when I came back, I was so determined that I was not only going to fix this, but that I wanted to help other people, that I went into the cooking field, started a catering company, and then went to culinary school and minored in nutrition, and started the journey that has eventually been the beginning of where I'm in right now.
Beautiful stuff. So thank you so much for sharing that, number one. And I feel that there are a lot of people that can maybe resonate with what you're going through. I know several people that can. And it's as you say, sometimes it's that different perspective on life that helps you kind of have that aha moment and just change your prerogative a little bit, change your mindset towards whatever it might be at the time. For your aspect, that was food. So I like that you come through that. And then naturally alongside that, did you always have an ambition to be an entrepreneur and have that impact your kind of business with it? Or was that something that just naturally developed, obviously, as you're going through your own journey?
Both, because my grandfather was an entrepreneur, had started his own construction company in multiple countries before immigrating to the US. My mom was an entrepreneur. And at the same time, there was this, how do you get a structured 9 to 5 for security and safety in the future? So I had the entrepreneurial spirit, but then the fear starts to set in about how do you build something because of, working in businesses that don't always take off. So
Yeah.
I tried both. Again, starting my own catering company, I was 19, and it took off really well. But the amount of work that it involved when you have to do everything, I wasn't equipped. I didn't have the tools. I had no idea. It's like we cook for people and we charge them money, but I didn't realize all the other things that went into it. So that pushed me toward looking for something that was a little more normal, I
Yeah.
guess you'd say. And I tried to fit into a more corporate mold, 9 to 5, and it didn't work for me. It just felt, it was stifling. No matter how good the
Yeah.
company was, it was stifling. And I just couldn't grow in the way that I needed to grow. So I would go back to being an entrepreneur. But at the time, being an entrepreneur, being a serial entrepreneur, pretty much meant you were flaky. It meant you couldn't make up your mind. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to do more things and develop more and help more people.
Yeah.
That's always kind of been the underlayment. Everything that I've done, from health and wellness to antimicrobial barriers, they've all been underneath helping people be better and helping improve the quality of their days. So that's kind of been the common thread.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like if that is your, I suppose, main goal or main ambition in life, naturally everything else tends to come good. And I feel with entrepreneurs, they do have that like caregiving spirit, they want to have an impact, they want to do something. And I've never had that time before, but naturally, as you say, it might be slightly a little bit before my time. So having that fleeting mindset, I think it's just you're always on the move for that next thing. You always want to try something new. You always want to entertain your own mind. And I know exactly what you mean when you feel like you're caged within a job. I myself grew up with a family of entrepreneurs, moved into a 9 to 5 because, as you say, maybe life happens a little bit and you need that steadier paycheck just while you develop your own skills in life sometimes.
Yes.
But it is like a caged bird and it becomes very frustrating very quickly. So I love the fact that you found your roots and we're going back to that. So let's dive into the business a little bit more and see what it looks like today. So Rene, at this point in, who would you say like is your ideal client? Like who is it that you very, very much love to work with the most? And then from there, how is it you help them? And how would you support them along their own journey?
My ideal client is male or female that has reached a point in their life when they're tired of the frustrating, never ending conversation of how to keep themselves healthy day in, day out, so that they can live the life they want to live. Whether they're an entrepreneur, whether they're a business owner, whether they're working someplace and travel a lot, or whether they're just sick of the conversation of, I can't seem to take care of myself and I keep having these unwanted health occurrences show up over and over. So that's more specifically the type of people who tend to come to me are women between the ages of 42 and 72 on average,
Nice.
because they've also reached a point in their life where all these things are changing biologically and they end up putting on a lot of weight that becomes a decade of frustration and
Yeah.
self-esteem issues. So that is probably the largest group of clients that I serve right now. But I also have a 19-year-old male college student that I'm working with right now. I've got a 21-year-old college student, and both of them were sent to me by their parents because I've worked with their parents, helping them overcome health and wellness issues and things around food.
I love it. So we can pretty much adapt to everybody. But yeah, as you're saying, I suppose as well, most people tend to generate to somebody that's like them. So when it is you're working with women between that age group, naturally you know what it's like to be in their shoes and understand the kind of changes that women go through at that age. And it isn't very aware for everybody, like even I know myself, sometimes I read up about it and I know what's coming, but when you read about the menopause, it's not something that's always educated or given to us. So it can be a very overwhelming process for women to go through. So having that support is a really cool aspect. So what is it like to work with you then, Renee? Like how is it you support your clients? And I suppose what is your style or your approach?
So working with me is interesting because I'm having gone through my own battles with food, and I'd like to say that it was something that resolved quickly. But when I was younger, the first thing we ever really heard about anorexia and bulimia was Karen Carpenter in 1982, 83. So we really
Mm.
didn't know much about it other than there is an emotional underlayment to it that has to be addressed that is driving the compulsive behavior of
Yeah.
self-harm, which is basically what eating disorders are. And learning to having to learn how to use food as fuel, to have learning how to understand the body. We're still dealing with in the US. We just reversed the food pyramid, and so now people are going, so all these things that I've been told I can't eat for decades, now I'm supposed to start eating them. Well, what does
Yeah.
that mean? Medical schools are supposed to start teaching 20 hours of nutrition, but what is nutrition when we haven't even identified what is food right now?
Yeah.
And there's no one way for any two people to eat that works universally. You have to try. There's an outline. So that's what happens when somebody comes to me. We lay out the outline, the broad strokes, and then we start narrowing it based on how their body responds. And the
Amazing.
key is they never diet. They will never be on a diet again, because a diet means we're going to start and we're going to finish.
Yeah.
That mentality is not healthy or helpful for anyone. When you learn how to eat based on your lifestyle and your body style and how you want to look, live, and feel, it changes everything. And it's maintainable. So you don't have to think about, oh, I got to weigh this, I got to measure this. How many points is this? How many calories? None of that. We learn to eat a little more intuitively, and we gauge that by how our body feels, how it looks, and what the labs show. That's the biggest
Beautiful.
piece.
I love that. So yeah, and I am a big anti-dieter myself in terms of like the culture of it, but I feel like obviously within the modern world we're in, it is very much part of that like fitness journey at the moment. Like people are very much advertising it online, it is part of the kind of modern world, I suppose. But for me, having an holistic approach to health, to food in general, and your relationship with food is so important. As you say, you need to bend it around what food you like, what makes you feel comfortable, how you can integrate that into your life, and it is very custom to everybody else. So I take it you're very much in the trenches with your clients when they are going through their journey and kind of supporting them in that very close one-to-one kind of relationship.
Yes, and what often happens is we do dig into some behavioral components
Cool.
because we have to look at what is driving some self-destructive behaviors. How do we get them out of that habit loop? How do we instill new behaviors that support them? And it doesn't take a long time to do. It's recognizing this is what you're doing over and over and over.
Yeah.
When we start to fix the food, which is one of the most important aspects, we can start to fix cravings. It
Love
doesn't
it.
stop a trigger, but when you can identify what's happening, it gives you more power around it. And people go, oh, I don't have to do this. I actually have a choice. And when you make a choice, so for example, when I'm working with clients, we don't have good food, bad food, not right or wrong, not treat day, none of that. It either has nutrients, non-essential nutrients, non-nutrients like a lot of ultra processed foods, or anti-nutrients, which means it has stuff in it that can pull nutrients from your system. That's it.
Yeah.
And once you learn those foods, it sounds complex, but it's not. It's how do we put these together? And if you say, I'm going to have a piece of chocolate cake, have it, enjoy it, have pizza, drink a beer, because you're not doing it every single day. And when you're eating in a balanced way that nourishes the system, all of those other things start to become secondary because you don't crave. When you eat in balance for your system, you crave nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
And
No,
I
it's so true.
love getting clients to that point.
Yeah, I can imagine the fulfillment you get. And even the aha that they receive, must fill you with such joy when you see it on their faces and integrating into their lives. And you are building those healthy relationships and those healthy habits. As you say, it's that psychology and that mindset when it does come to contemplating food and how can we build that in so that you don't feel guilty, you aren't craving at the end of it, and just moving along from there. Now, I did mention obviously a second ago that it's a very busy world at the moment. There's a lot of noise going on, especially within your space. Nutrition is very much becoming top of mind for a lot of people. It's having its moment to shine. So, what are you finding most successful in the moment, Renee? And just finding those right people to work with, like what channels and methods are really working well for you in acquiring those right kind of customers?
I think what's working is because I'm doing a lot of speaking. We just got back from 6 conferences that
Oh,
I spoke at. So I'm in front of a lot of I'm in front of a lot of audiences, and that's something that is definitely bringing new clients to me. I have a pretty good referral base, and then another part of my business is that I work as a clinical liaison for holistic and functional health practitioners, med spas. So I help them develop and implement programs. So I also tend to get clients from that
perfect.
area.
Yeah, beautiful. So speaking is a great way to do so, as you say. The six
Yes.
conferences is a lot. You must be very spoken out, in my opinion. For someone else to speak for their job as well, that's a lot of talking.
It's a lot. It was a
It's a
lot,
lot of talking.
but it's wonderful. And
I can imagine.
I love seeing the light bulbs come on. In fact, one of the conferences that we just spoke at, they gave me the hashtag sauerkraut because I was talking about fermented foods and how good it is. So I
I
got the
love
hashtag
that.
sauerkraut for the weekend.
Cool stuff. But yeah, it's such a great way to actually say, kind of build relationships with people, build connections, find those people that work with you. There's so much that people can get from being in your presence, but also hearing them just hearing the vibrations in your voice, they'll hopefully resonate with you, your story, your message, and then know that they can trust you with with their journey moving forward. And referrals, just so kudos to the work you are doing. It's amazing you've got that nice system kind of going for yourself and moving forward. And I suppose with all that being said, like what are your visions or ambitions for the company? Like when you think of maybe the next 6 to 12 months, like what are those goals or those milestones that you're hopefully looking forward to achieving?
So the next 6 to 12 months it's a heavy conference schedule. There's just so many opportunities that came my way this year, and it's trying to find a client one at a time online is I can't stand it. I'm not going to post all day on social media. There's so much junk out there, and it's just noise. And I
Yeah.
don't want to be part of nonsensical noise. It doesn't give people answers. So being in front of people, having them be able to talk to me at the conference, to sell my book at these conferences, all of these things give me touches that are a little closer. And then I reshare any of the videos that have been shot, but I really try to make it purposeful because
Okay.
I want to rise above the noise, and that may sound very egotistical, but I just don't want to be part of the nonsensical fodder that people are being fed all the time because this does not have to be complex. In fact, it's very, very simple. And so many of the people that are online are hawking vitamins or some sort of a device or something else. I don't want any of that. And I'm happy for them if it works. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that model, but I don't want any of that. I want to help people feel their best. And I want to equip them with tools that once they understand it, they will be able to do this for the rest of their life. They won't need to find another me unless they want to revisit because something has shifted and it's really off.
Beautiful, as you say. So that purpose, that goal is to very much teach a man how to fish so they can ignore that noise forever. I will ask you though, does it not ever spark you to kind of go against the grain and very much play them with their own game and like join that social media trend, but in your own way, in your own style, and make sure you are providing people with that good advice that they need to be hearing at the moment?
Yes and no. And
Okay.
the way I've been doing that is working with like a lot of the clinics that I work with and some of
Yeah.
the doctors that I work with. I haven't started my own podcast for the main reason that I don't want to be part of
Yeah.
what's out there. And in that regard, I don't want to keep fighting for the position. I'm going to leverage the context that I have. I want quality content, and the people are going to find me. One of the biggest challenges about being an entrepreneur is that you're constantly hunting for the next client. And when you fix clients, they don't really need you anymore.
Yeah, I know.
You know, there's some
Yeah.
other things, there's some other areas I work in with regard to hormonal health. I'm certified nationally in peptide therapy. There's other things I can help them with, but when the main work is done, they don't really need me anymore. And that's sad, and at the same time, it's wonderful because they don't have to struggle.
No, exactly that. And that is the catch 22 of obviously having a coaching business. You want them to go out and achieve those goals and see them fly in their own way. But yes, it does mean you do lose out on somebody. But like you said before, doing that, making sure your client is first, hopefully for them, you get more clients, and that's that nice referral foot system you can build for yourself and understand what you're saying. Just staying in your lane and rising above the noise is a really good approach as well. It's a really cool aspect. And I do have one final question to ask you, Renee, before we log out. So, if you could go back in time to a younger self and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now, but that you didn't know back then, what would you say to yourself?
My self-esteem is not determined by the number on the scale. That was a very, very difficult lesson to learn, and I struggled with it for decades. And I work with women and men every day
Yeah,
who gauge their self-worth by a number on a scale, and it means nothing.
I couldn't agree more with you. And it goes back to all that noise we was talking about in the outside world. It means absolutely nothing. As much as people encourage you to step on those scales, you really don't ever need to.
Mm-mm.
And Renee, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they would like to do so?
The best way to find me is my website, renecaruso.life, and that's Rene with one E, ReneCaruso.life. I'm also on LinkedIn because I work with individuals, and again, I work with companies as a consultant to help them launch and integrate programs. So those are probably the two best ways to reach me.
Beautiful stuff. And thank you again for joining me, Rene. I really appreciate your time today. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to go and check out Rene Caruso. As she just said, drop her a message. Please check out the website. I'm sure she would love to hear from everybody. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing, and we'll see you on the next one.